everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, then welcome. I really hope you enjoy your first video, and today's video is going to be another financial savings related video because it's the year of 2020. It's the year we get our savings heads on, and I wanted to create a series on here for you guys every week or so to bring you different financial topics. And today we're going to be talking all about pensions. Quite a few of you have asked me to speak about pensions, so here we are. So I'm going to be talking about what actually is a pension, paying into a pension, when you can access it, the different methods in which you can access your pension, and all of that good stuff. So let's get straight on into the video. So first off, you may be here because you've been offered a workplace pension. A lot of us now are being enrolled into workplace pensions. You have to sit within certain categories to be eligible, and that's based on your earnings and then also your age. But a majority of us in the UK now are eligible for a workplace pension. So you'll be enrolled into a scheme, so you'll pay a percentage on your relevant earnings for auto enrollment purposes, and then your employer will also do the same. I could do a separate video all about that, but I just thought I'd add in here that that's very much a pension scheme as well, so this video is relevant to that too. You can also do a personal pension not linked to your employer at all. Anyone can set up a pension by themselves. You could go to a financial advisor, you could do it online by yourself. So you can do savings via your employer, or you can do your own personal pension not linked to your employer. And a pension is a savings vehicle which enables you to obviously save money throughout your kind of working life, if you like, for retirement. And currently the age you can access your pension is age 55. It is going up to 57 for most of us, so unfortunately I'll be at least 57 by the time I can access my personal pension. It may well go up, but that is the current legislation, and it's at the moment linked to state pensions. They're trying to keep it roughly 10 years before you can access your state pension. So you can access your personal pension and then your state pension 10 years later. But as I say, that's current legislation and things may change. So with a pension, you can either make lump sum pension contributions or you can pay into it monthly. And as I said, if you have a workplace scheme, you're going to be paying a sum in monthly, and then your employer will also pay in something monthly. And that monthly premium or lump sum contributions that you make is going to be invested. Now, what that is invested into depends completely on your situation. So if you have a financial advisor, then they're going to recommend a suitable investment strategy for you. If you have a workplace scheme, it's typically invested into a default scheme, and that often depends on how far away you are from retirement. So if you're a long time away from retirement, they're going to invest you into something higher risk, and if you're closer to retirement, then they may invest you into something lower risk. And a lot of workplace schemes actually have something called lifestyling, which is when they invest you into higher risk, and as the years go by approaching retirement, it gradually de-risks your investment down to a really low risk investment portfolio. Again, that is something I can touch upon on a separate video all about the investment side of a pension. But I just wanted to keep this video quite high level basics, that your pension is going to be invested. And the reason for this is because your pension fund's goal is to fund your retirement, and you want to try and make as much money as you possibly can in that pension pot. Over the years, inflation erodes the buying power of money. So for example, £100 today is not going to be the same as £100 in 20 years time. And that is why pension funds are invested. And that means you can try and get a growth each year that beats inflation. So not only are you bringing that money up to the current value that year, but you're also hopefully adding a bit of growth as well. For example, if you've got a 5% return on your pension and inflation is about 2.5% currently, your kind of net return after inflation is 2.5%. So that's kind of like the future value. You're only really getting 2.5%, if that makes sense. So yes, that's a very real basic overview of it. It's a lot more complicated than that, but I just wanted to keep this video kind of basics because it can be quite confusing when you first hear it all. So now let's talk about contributions, and if you're making a monthly contribution, just so I can explain the tax benefits of paying into a pension. So for example, if you have an £80 a month direct debit going into your pension, that is actually going to be grossed up to £100. So the government will give you a £20 tax relief on that £80 contribution, and that contribution will then go into your pension at £100. So you're effectively getting a 25% uplift on that initial contribution, and that is based on being a non-taxpayer or a basic rate taxpayer. If you're a high rate taxpayer or an additional rate taxpayer, then go you, you're doing really well. But if you are in that tax bracket, then you can also claim an additional 20 to 25% tax relief based on your contribution via a self-assessment tax return. So effectively, whatever tax rate you pay, you can get that much back in an uplift on your contribution and via your tax return if you're in the high rate and additional rate brackets. And the reason for that is to basically make sure your contribution isn't being taxed, because most of us will be taxed on our salary and then we're paying our contribution on taxed income, and the government wants to make that fair by paying back the tax that you would have already paid. Some contributions are taken from your salary before tax, and that is a method called salary sacrifice. It may be where you earn, say, 25 grand a year, your pension contributions are 3 grand a year, so on paper you only earned 22 grand a year, and that means the contribution has already received the tax relief. But if it comes from your after tax salary, then you will get tax relief afterwards to boost that contribution back to the amount with the basic rate tax relief. That's kind of confusing, but hopefully that makes some sense. So effectively £80 will be £100. Now, why should we start paying into a pension early? Why should you pay into a pension when you're, say, only 25 years old? You may sit there and think, I've got such a long time away until I retire. What is the point? I've got more priorities ahead of me, such as buying my first house, etc. Why can't I just wait until I'm 40 to worry about retirement? And there's a couple of reasons for this. Obviously, stating the kind of obvious, the longer you pay into a pension, the more contribution that's going to go into that pension fund. Therefore, you've got a lot longer to build up your fund. You'd be surprised how much money you need in a pension to actually get a income you can live comfortably off in retirement. So it's really key that you aim to save as much as you possibly can within your earnings that you can afford to make provision for your retirement. But let me give you a really quick example as to why investing a lot longer away is really beneficial to you and effectively gives you free money, if you like. So if you are 1 year away from retirement and you put £100 into your pension fund, and let's say you get a 5% return that year, your £100 is then going to be worth £105. Great. If you invest that into your pension fund 10 years before retirement, that £100 in year 1 is going to get a 5% return, which is then £105. Year 2, you'll then get 5% growth on 105, which actually equates to 110.25. And if you keep rolling that up over a 10-year period, assuming a 5% return every single year for 10 years, that initial £100 will actually be worth £162.88 versus the £105 if you only had 1 year of that £100 being invested. So that just shows you growth on growth on growth, year on year on year. It really does add up, because if your contribution or whatever the fund value is a certain amount and it benefits from, say, 5% 1 year, the next year you're going to get whatever the growth is that year based on the new fund value. So you're getting growth on growth on growth, and in the initial years this won't really be much at all, but as the years go by, it really has a substantial effect on your pension fund value, and that is why it's so important to invest such a long time away before you come to retire. Not 10 years away, but if you could start, the earlier the better, honestly. Okay, so you're paying into your pension year on year on year, month on month on month. You're paying into your employer scheme. You might have your own pension. Now what happens in the future? You want to retire and you're thinking, well, what actually happens to my pension fund? And there's a couple of different methods that you can actually take your pension fund. And just to let you know, guys, the methods I'm telling you are based on personal pensions, not defined benefit schemes. I highly doubt if you're here for a defined benefit scheme, because they're kind of like the gold-plated old pensions that people would have had many years ago. You can't really get a defined benefit scheme anymore. So hopefully you are here for a normal pension, because a defined benefit is basically where you're in a scheme with your company and you have a guaranteed pension income at the end of it, and they are very rare, and if you do have one, you'll certainly know about it. So hopefully I haven't confused you too much by saying that, but if you are here and you haven't been told you've got a defined benefit scheme, you probably haven't. So hopefully you're here with a normal workplace pension, personal pension type arrangement, which is where you're paying in each month and you're not entirely sure what the pension is going to be worth at retirement, because you're getting the fluctuation of investment returns each year. 1 year you might make loads of money, the next year you might lose a few pounds. It's just the way the market works. Anyway, So if you're in one of them pension schemes and not a defined benefit scheme, then at retirement, there is a couple of different ways you can take your retirement income. Now, first off, you can take 25% of the pension fund value as a tax-free lump sum, and there are limits to this. If your pension's worth over a certain amount, then there is tax implications on this, but I wouldn't worry too much. You have to have a hell of a lot of money for that to ever be a problem for you. I'm talking over £1 million. So I wouldn't worry too much about that just now. And also, sorry guys, I forgot to add that a pension fund actually grows tax-free in the tax vehicle too. Just a little bit of knowledge for you there. So you're at retirement, let's say you're 57 years old, you're thinking, right, I want to take my pension, what do I do? Well, the first step would be to seek financial advice. It's really, really important you do see a financial advisor. They can help guide you, they can help tell you the best thing to do for your situation, because unless you are a financial advisor yourself, you're really not going to know the best route to go down. So it's really advised that you do seek professional advice to determine what route you should go down, because they can run all sorts of cash flow forecasts for you, which is basically where they put all your details into a software and project forwards on your expenditure and income over retirement to show you if you're going to be able to afford to live in retirement. So anyway, let's say you go to a financial advisor. These are the sort of options they're going to present to you based on current legislation. So the first option is to take an annuity. So with an annuity, you can take your tax-free cash, or you can decide to not take it. I mean, it's a tax-free lump sum, so most people do take it. Then with the remaining 75% of the fund value, you can buy an annuity. An annuity is where you give your fund's value over to an insurance company to effectively buy a guaranteed income for the rest of retirement. There are loads and loads of different things that can be added to annuities. I could do a separate video all about them if you like. But things like spouse's benefit, where you can provide money to your spouse in the event of death, that can be added. You can add guaranteed periods if you both pass away and you'd like to have an income for your children, for example. There's lots and lots of different options available, and the options you add will determine how much that annuity costs versus the income it's going to give you. So the more extras you add, the lower the income is you're going to get. And annuity rates currently are quite low, so typically people are finding they're not getting that high levels of income for their money when they're buying an annuity. However, it's a guaranteed source of income in retirement. If you're someone that's scared and wants to know for certain, I'm going to get, say, £6,000 a year, some people prefer that over taking risk and not knowing they're going to guarantee to have that sum, especially if you are really relying on that money in retirement. Some people go down that route. The next option is to take the whole pension fund as a lump sum. So you can take the 25% tax-free cash and then take the rest as taxable income. And annuities are taxable income. I forgot if I said that or not, but yes, they are taxable income. And anyway, you take in a lump sum, you're paying tax on the pretty much 75% of the fund value, and this can incur real high tax consequences for people, especially if their pension fund is worth a lot of money, because often it can go into the higher rate bracket, even the additional rate bracket, and they're paying so much tax. So that's not really a route most people would wish to go down, because you're paying so much tax just to have a lump sum of money right now. Wouldn't it be better to leave it in your pension? But again, something you can discuss with your financial advisor when the time comes. Another option is to go into something called Flexi Access Drawdown, and that is basically where your pension fund remains invested in the market, and you can decide what you want to invest into with your financial advisor to make sure it's suitable, but it's still taking risk. And you can draw a flexible income from that pension scheme. So you can take £0, you can take whatever whole fund value is as a lump sum. It's completely flexible. You can take as little or as much income as you wish from that pension scheme. With drawdown arrangements, this is where you'd sit with your financial advisor to determine how much money you can take from that scheme each year without eroding too much of the fund value, because the aim with drawdown is to try and keep the fund value intact and to draw from investment growth. So that is why it's so key to have a financial advisor to guide you through this and to review the plan every single year. In most cases, you need a financial advisor to be in drawdown. Typically, it's not something you can do by yourself. Most pension providers will tell you to go to a financial advisor to seek advice, otherwise they won't help you. And when you're in drawdown, you can take the 25% tax-free cash at outset and then have the rest of the money in drawdown and pay income tax when you draw the money, Or you can take something called a phased retirement, and that is where you can take part tax-free cash and part taxable income every single month, or however often you draw your income. And some people like to do that because they may not need their tax-free cash sum at outset, they might not have a purpose, they might not have anything they need a massive lump sum of money for, so they would prefer to have some tax-free income each month and then a bit of taxable income to lower their tax bill. So that is an option people go down. So they are the main ways you can take your pension income in retirement. And if you are in drawdown, you can actually convert to an annuity at a later date. If you think, actually, it's not for me, I don't want to take risk anymore, you can look to go down the annuity route at a later date. So what is different with a pension when compared to other savings vehicles? Well, a pension is outside of your estate for inheritance tax purposes, and this is a real key financial planning point for a lot of clients. So when it comes to inheritance tax planning, people that have a lot of money, they're really wealthy, often they want to leave as much money as they can to their chosen beneficiaries without paying inheritance tax when they die, because obviously that's going to reduce the amount they inherit. So leaving money in your pension in most cases is outside of your estate for inheritance tax purposes, and pensions can actually be used as a tax planning tool in that regard. Some people pay into a pension and they never draw from it because they have so much income, they think, right, I'm going to leave my pension aside and that's going to be for my children when I pass away, for example. So that is basically pensions in a nutshell, guys. I really hope you found this helpful, and I hope that it gave you some ideas as well. As I say, I can do future videos on pensions. I could do a video a little bit more about investment side of things. I'm not going to ever recommend anything on this channel, but I'm not actually allowed to do that. It's in breach of kind of, you know, my job that I do outside of YouTube. So hopefully you can respect that. I'm never going to give advice on this channel, but I can give you facts, because everything I'm telling you right now, you could Google and find it quite easily. So hopefully you can understand that. But yes, as I say, I could do a video about the investment side of things and different sort of investments people go into, such as the lifestyle strategy. I could do a video about workplace pensions and a little bit more about them and who's eligible, who isn't eligible. And I could do a little bit more information on the tax side of things if you like. So let me know in the comments down below if you are interested in any of that, if you want any more detail, or if this video was helpful enough for you. And I really do hope you enjoyed watching this. If you did, please do give the video a thumbs up. It really does help my channel out, and I'd love for you to subscribe if you haven't already. My Instagram is @HazelwoodX. If you'd like to follow me on there, then I would absolutely love for you to do that as well, because this video was actually a really highly requested video over on my Instagram. So if you want to follow me on there, you can get involved in future financial topics for this channel. So thank you so much for watching, guys, and I shall see you in my next video. Mwah. Bye.